Probably will not go tomorrow against Atlanta as the Warriors continue to lick their wounds and they're running out of bodies, folks. Toyota Warriors postgame live. You are watching right now with the Hall of Famer Chris Mullin, NBA champion Festus Ezeli. I am Bonte Hill.
They are not watching, Bonte. I don't know what you thought was happening, but they're not watching. That was awful. Awful.
Talk about March Madness. This is March Sadness. Hopefully somebody is out there watching as we try to discuss what happened tonight. It was awful, Fezzi.
I mean, okay, I'll leave this game more impressed with Detroit than anything else. Detroit, this is the #1 team in the East. They just lost their superstar in Cade Cunningham. And what they did in this game, with only making 5 threes, they just frustrated the Warriors the whole game. I mean, you could talk about, trying to run an offense. If this is the scouting report, they was like, nah, this is straight effort and hustle and awareness. I got to give Ausar Thompson a lot of credit. He got 7 steals. I feel like the Warriors couldn't even pass the ball tonight. You got to give Dennis Jenkins a lot of credit for them on the offensive end. He was getting by guys. He was getting guys involved in the game. He had 8 assists. Like, he was just creating offense in the offense where they felt like they didn't have anything to go off of. He came in there, was creating things offensively for them. Defensively, they were everywhere. They really just took the Warriors out the game. The Warriors did not have one quarter without less than 6 turnovers. 26 turnovers tonight. That's a lot.
Jeek, it's 22, 8, and 7. Cade who? Nah, we know Cade Cunningham's an MVP candidate, but think about that. He fills on for Cade, 22, 8, and 7. It felt like they had 100 deflections tonight within the half court and really flustered the Warriors after the Dubs took a 9-point lead in the second quarter.
Well, all the pregame notes we looked at, all the pregame stats we looked at for the Detroit Pistons played out. They have a legitimate physical defensive identity. They stick to it, even when their superstar is not in the lineup. They shoot over 50% from the field. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They don't make a lot of threes. But they impose their will at every single position. Every single guy that checks in the game plays hard, both offensively and defensively. They get 50-50 balls, deflections. They guard each of their men straight up, man-to-man, not a whole lot of point switching. That wears on you. And the Warriors, they got off to a good start, 26-21 in the first quarter. From that point on, the second quarter, they started turning the ball over. And those turnovers mounted up for the rest of the game. Quarters 2, 3, and 4, 94-75 Pistons. And I just felt like they just physically outworked them, wore them down, even when the Warriors did get good looks. Looked like they were tired. They couldn't even get those shots to go down for them. So tonight was demoralizing. Yeah. You mentioned Porzingis going out. They came in shorthanded to begin with.
Right.
And this Detroit Pistons team, they showed why they're a legitimate contender because, they play to their identity. They're not like every NBA team in this league. They do not rely on a three-point shot, but they rely on their defense to create offense, and they wear you down physically.
Yeah, they only make 11 threes per game this season, which is 28th in the NBA. They made only 5 today, but you know what the difference was? Points in the paint as well. They outscored the Warriors by 30 in the paint, something we'll touch on a little bit later. But let's talk about that second quarter, where it looked like the Warriors are starting to find some rhythm. Up 9 in that second quarter. And you see here up 7.
Deflection.
And then this is where the deflection started. This is where the steal started as the Pistons ended that first half, Fezzi, on a 23-7 run.
Ponte, all night long. I mean, Detroit, a lot of their points came off of turnovers. They're trying to get points in the fast break. You see right there Paul Reed just muscling his way all the way to the rim. This is how Detroit plays. Their identity is physical. Their identity is defense. And I got to give Duncan Robinson a lot of credit, too, because he ended that second quarter with 10 points. He played with the gravity. Off of the three-point shot, you can see him. Guys were coming off of screens. Dennis Jenkins again, coming off of screens, finding him wide open. Yep. And then after that, it was just Duncan Robinson. He's the guy to look for on the three-point line. He would go inside and make shots for other guys. I thought that just the defensive intensity for the Detroit Pistons really wore the Warriors out all night long.
Yeah, and what the Pistons can do, the fact that they don't make a lot of threes, they defend the three. Yep. The Warriors had 8 threes at halftime. We said at halftime they had 8 threes and 13 turnovers. And I felt like if they make another 8 threes and keep those turnovers down, they'll have a chance to win the game. The Warriors made 4 threes in the second half and had 13 more turnovers. So the Pistons just keep coming and coming. It's really impressive that their bench players, how hard they play. Yep. There's no drop-off intensity-wise. So J.B. Bickerstaff has a well-oiled machine there. Yep. I think they're going to have to make a fair amount of threes. 11's right. 28th in the league. They got a few shooters on the bench who haven't played much. So in a series, they could put some shooters in there. Yep. But they're going to hang their hat on their incredible defensive acumen, and it's working so far, and I think it will continue to work.
I can see the frustration with Fezzi right now because of the turnovers. We talk about this all season long. They've actually done a better job recently of taking care of the basketball. But tonight it reared its ugly head. 26-point turnovers, a season high, which we were shocked by. We were shocked by that because they've had some high turnover games. But Fezzi, they're fortunate that the Pistons only scored 32 points off those 26 turnovers.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, Bonte. They struggle to score, especially without their point guard. But look at every one of these turnovers are extra possession plays, extra effort plays, rather. Like you see guys running back on the defensive end and getting stops. You see guys making the extra effort when you're dribbling on the ball. Like, this is what destroyed, this is what they had to do.
Yep.
You don't have your point guard in Cade Cunningham. That means your three-point percentage is down low, your turnovers are up, and the offensive rating is down. So what else do you have? You have effort, you have intensity, and you have defense to create offense for you. 26 turnovers. They only scored 32 points off of those, but they took the Warriors way out of offensive rhythm. They felt like they couldn't even come across half court without it. But you got to give J.B. Bickerstaff, who's the coach, a lot of credit. They have a lot of long, incredible athletes. Paul Reed came off the bench, was making an incredible impact. You can talk about Dennis Jenkins, talk about Duncan Robinson, who is not even known for defense, but on a team like this, which is an identity, they kind of turned everybody into that.
You know, Mully, what's deflating is what Fezzi's talking about here is it just sounds like the Pistons played harder than the Warriors. And the Warriors are the desperate team right now, trying to get from deep in the box and get 2 rolls at a shot to get to the playoffs. But the Pistons played harder like they were 33 and 36.
Well, the other thing, too, this was a second end of a back-to-back for them. They're now 10-2 on the second games of back-to-backs, which speaks to their depth. And the fact that J.B. Bickerstaff has these guys locked in. We talked about the Celtics earlier when we were down there when they visited Chase Center, how it seemed like the bench was so locked in because they weren't quite sure what Joe Mazzulla was going to go to, so they're so focused. And that says a lot about the intensity and the expectation that minutes are not given to people. You got to go out there and earn those minutes. So this Detroit team, I think much like Boston, has a very good chance to come out of the Eastern Conference. Obviously, you have to get Cade Cunningham back from that collapsed lung. But in the meantime, you can see they have a true identity, and I appreciate that because it's a different style. You know, we talk so many times, most teams in the NBA play the same way, it seems like, night in, night out, spread 5 out, shoot 40 or 50 threes. This is a throwback team with their own identity, and it's refreshing to watch.
Let me break it down. Let me translate it for y'all. All right, they got some guys who came into the game looking like rabid dogs. Like they were ready for any opportunity they were going to get. Without their superstar, the only way they're going to win tonight was with grit and grind. They scored 74 points in the paint. That was just everything that you could ask for. You asked Jalen Duren, who's their other all-star, to do his job. Well, he had 23, 6 rebounds.
8 of 12.
8 of 12 from the field. I mean,
just 21 minutes.
This is what you ask your team to do. Duncan Robinson, I mean, he comes into the game. Duncan Robinson only had 11 points, but he's a plus 37. That's the impact that everybody on the floor had. Just the way how hard they played. They looked like the more desperate team, and that was very impressive to see.
Once again, on the second game of a back-to-back. Pretty impressive performance.
No, 21 points, as you said, Fezzi. 21 minutes, 23 points, 6 rebounds here. To make matters worse, we have no idea what's going on with Kristaps Porzingis. He left the game late in the first half with about 4:34 left. He was off the floor, 5 points, 3 rebounds in just 11 minutes. Right there, trying to post up and felt something in his back. And he walked straight to the locker room, did not return. And with his injury history, what's going on with him, he wasn't playing back-to-backs anyway. I think it's a long shot. I think it's safe to say it's a long shot that we'll see him in Atlanta tomorrow night.
What can I say about that, Monte? It feels like the Warriors are paying some kind of karmic debt. Like it's everybody is out the. I mean, you got to think Steph, Jimmy, Al Horford, Moses Moody, Quentin Post, who was playing well, he was out the lineup. It feels like when guys are starting to get their rhythm, they're pulled out. And the Warriors, you got to give them some credit, too, because they're trying to play games with everybody out the lineup. Every time there's a new player coming in, we're celebrating before the game that the Warriors have finally had 2 games in a row with the same starting lineup. They've had a different starting lineup before that for the last, 13 games? 13 games with
probably be different tomorrow.
I'm just saying.
I'm banking on number 37 tomorrow, which would be the different starting lineups they've had this season.
We've been so excited to have Kristaps back in the lineup. He's been playing well. He looks good. And to have him out now and trying to figure out the back soreness, this is another blow to this already depleted team.
How many games we got left?
12 now.
12. So there's a dirty dozen left. To me, that's the biggest storyline going forward. Of those 12 games, how many can Porzingis play? How much minutes can he build up to come the play-in tournament? That's really the story, because, you know, that's going to coincide with Steph's performance. That's what it's all about, getting healthy with your star players, being fresh and able to get out of that play-in situation to get a playoff series. And I think it all hinges on Porzingis.
You guys want some good news?
Please,
Absolutely.
Lord.
Portland's down 2 to Minnesota with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Misery loves company? Is that what this is?
I'm trying to find a silver lining. I'm trying to find a silver lining.
It'll be
here.
a push then for the day?
It'll be a push
like
for
this
the day.
never happened.
Like this never happened. Just
Like
burn
that.
the tape, throw away the box score, and just keep it moving. I'm trying to find something here.
Please burn the
seriously.
tape.
I mean, as deflating as tonight was, I just thought it was the effort. It felt like the Pistons were like, hey, we're 5 games out of the box. We need to win to keep our season alive. And the Warriors went out there after a strong first quarter, and you know the Pistons get into the passing lanes. They couldn't get into their half-court sets. It was like watching a 16 versus a 1 seed.
Hey,
This is
there's
March Madness, right?
There's this quote that I heard. It's from James Clear. It says, "You don't rise to your goals. You actually fall down to your systems, which is your habits." And I think what you saw tonight was the Pistons' identity. What you saw was, this is what we've done all year long. We've built ourselves on this. And you got to think, the Pistons are 6-2. Before this game, now they're 7-2. The Pistons were 6-2 without Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Everything drops, but their effort and the defensive identity does not waver. I thought that's what you saw tonight. They have these habits they've built up to, and the Warriors have not really had consistent lineup to even have habits in the first place.
We saw an incredible performance in New York.
Yep.
They didn't get the win. They went to Washington and got the W. Tonight looked like fatigue had set in, both physically and mentally. Now, you can play really hard. If you're not going to make shots,